Yo guys, what's going on? Ace is here today with another video. In today's video, we're going to be checking out the 12.11.5 patch notes here for Escape from Tarkov. These came out a little bit early, so I do apologize for actually being 2 hours late to make this video. I wanted to get it up right away. Battlestate had originally tweeted that the patch notes would go up after the patch was fully installed. It's currently still not. It's been about 4 hours, so it should be done pretty soon. But these patch notes came out 2 hours ago, man, so I do apologize for anybody waiting on my channel. I just didn't know. I just happened to check the forum just in case, and here they were sitting. So we're going to go over all these patch notes, a long list. We're going to read through them all. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I see here. I'm going to do my best to go through this quickly. So let's get into it, man. Make sure you leave that like, subscribe if you're new. As always, let's hop in. Optimization and performance. Let's see, made adjustments that allowed to reduce the RAM consumption. That is always good, man. You know, players who are running on 16 gigs of RAM, sometimes that's just not enough. You just need a little bit more sometimes, depending on, you know, the rest of your PC and your build. Some players on 16 gigs just cannot run, you know, maps like Reserve flawlessly. So sometimes upgrading to 32 is the move for your PC, but that's going to be good for players. Change the logic of in-game text to reduce memory consumption. That's great. You know, no problems there. Enabled reflex no longer affects performance in the hideout. Very good. You know, anything that is a change for the positive that's not really taking anything away from you is always good. Optimize the logic of loading character voices in raid, which reduce the time to load into raids. Optimize the sound batch loading, which reduce memory consumption. I'm loving this, man. This is great. Optimize the location loading time by rationalizing the logic of storing game resources. Optimize memory consumption of the client by unloading all unused scenes from the memory. This is all great stuff that I'm hearing right now. You know, just reducing that RAM and, you know, I don't know if that really affects VRAM as much, but anything that you can squeeze a little bit more performance out of your system is always going to be good. Optimize trader offer search time when using the Yo, that one might be huge. I'm not sure, you know, how that's worded there, how much that's going to really affect, but some of the, you know, traders, when trying to get in their menus, and whether it's the flea market, you're looking for a certain item on barter, or whether it's just, you know, the traders in general, sometimes the load times are crazy. So seeing that potentially fixed, going to be great. Added enable hideout preload option in the game settings. So if this option is enabled, the preload of the hideout, you know, I just messed that read up, but it's all right. Basically, you can choose if you want your hideout loaded or not. I think that's cool, man. Personally, I always use the hideout, so I'm going to have this one on for sure. Visual and graphical changes. Shadow render distance is increased to 500 meters regardless of shadow quality settings to ensure correct shading on locations. This is actually good, man. Sometimes if you know the game well enough, you can actually abuse some of that stuff, or you can get an angle you're not supposed to get on somebody, whether that's, you know, you can see them when they're in a completely shaded out area, and maybe you have, you know, maybe they're prone in some grass and you have your grass like turned off, and then your shadows off. Maybe you can see them when you're not supposed to be able to see them, stuff like that. You know, very, very situational, but in my opinion, a good change. Fix the work of the camera that led to weapon disorientation on screen edges on some FOV settings. So that just sounds like a good change to me. Here is what I'm most excited about. Gameplay and quality of life changes. Rework the game logic of inventory. Ooh. Item moving and context menus to minimize the number of errors that occur in the stash. Okay, you know, love to hear that. Sometimes when you're just moving a ton of shit super quickly, you get an item moving error, and then everything you did is just erased. You have to do it all again. So that's cool. Add the ability to change weapon fire modes by rotation by double pressing the fire mode key. So that's gonna be interesting. I'll check that one out in raid. I don't fully understand it just by the wording there. One of those things where I'm a visual learner. We're gonna have to hop in raid and check that one out. Added a to menu button for the first post raid screen to skip all next screens. Okay, that's pretty cool. Actually, it's going to speed some things up. Added a check mark to let you know if a weapon matches the mechanics task requirement when inspecting in the preset menu. I love that. That is super, super awesome. That is great. Added the maximum single fire rate parameter for all weapons. Okay, so I think there was just a few weapons where if you tap fire them at like, I think it's just kind of to reduce the amount of people like using macros and shit. I'm not sure on that, but that's kind of what it sounds like to me. All broken and damaged window glass is now synchronized between all players, even if loading into an already ongoing raid. This one is huge, man. This kind of lines up with, I'm not sure if this one's fixed, but when doors sometimes weren't synchronized, and you can be standing in front of a closed door on your screen, but on another player's screen, that door might still be open, and they can just shoot you right through it. And you honestly think they're cheating because from your FOV or your point of view, that door was closed. So that's a cool change. I like to see that. The AI of all scavs, raiders, and bosses has been moved to a new technology platform that allows us to expand and increase the complexity of AI-driven unit behavior, and also increase the number of scavs in a single raid in the future. So that one's going to be cool. So if scavs are completely acting differently, maybe they're not all going to seem brain dead. Maybe we're actually going to have every single scav actually have the ability to like hear you creeping up on them or something like that. And then more scavs in the future. I actually love that. I think certain maps, even customs, I don't think there's enough scavs on it. There is definitely a shit ton of scavs on customs, and that's just my example. But in some places of the map, I feel like I walk for way too long and I don't get an engagement if I can't find a PMC. And, you know, I'm not just talking about the dead areas of the map. I'm talking in areas where there should be scavs. So I like that. Completely redesigned the quest system engine. Okay, this is going to be big. I hope, anyway. This will decrease the number of errors in the quest system and will facilitate the creation of more diverse and engaging quest mechanics in the future. Absolutely love to hear that. This is probably just them getting ready for daily, weekly, and monthly quest. That's going to be coming very soon. I think it's definitely scheduled for at least 12.12, but very, very good stuff there. Optimize the formula of calculating Spence's reputation penalty when killing a scav when having high reputation. That's going to be interesting. Maybe the higher your rep, the more you lose. So that might be helping to some of those players who, you know, are already at low reps and they can't really recover. So that might be good. Change the quality of settings of shadows and textures. Choosing graphic presets and changing MIP streaming option is no longer possible during raid. Not really sure on that one, I'm going to be honest. Redesign the system of game settings that allowed to avoid several existing problems when changing parameters. Not sure on that one either. Probably pretty specific for something. Now when trying to create an offer with missing items for sale, a no available items message will appear. The raid session ID in the bottom left corner is now unique for every player. It will no longer be possible to tell on which server a streamer is currently playing. That's really cool, man. Now, if it changes to when, you know, if you go out of a raid and then you scav back into a raid, I'm hoping that your player-specific raid ID stays the same. Because on the rare chance you can scav back into your own raid, you like to know. Instead of just wandering up there and, you know, maybe you didn't check your raid ID and wandering to the spot you died and wasting time. Sometimes the raid ID is the best way to check. So hopefully that does stay the same for you and it's not randomized every load into every scav raid as well. But other than that, I think that is a 100% good change to just completely reduce stream sniping, man. Obviously, it's still going to be done, especially when somebody has 10K viewers, but that's a step in the right direction. Love to see it. All right, let's get our bug fixes, and we will be good to go. So, various object penetration fixes on locations. Players would not speed up when holding the sprint key while moving prone. Okay, that sounds good to me. Scav faction was displayed as Savage instead of Scav on the lobby screen. All right, just a bug. Game freezes when starting and handling items for a craft. That is a big one. That is a big one right there. That was really bad at the beginning of this wipe where you would go to craft something and it would literally take 30 seconds to get, you know, 5-6 items out of your inventory into the craft screen. So love to hear that. The Taz, the KS-23, I should say, people get triggered when you say Taz, was shooting well below the aiming point. Didn't know that. Maybe that's why it was asked this wipe. Players were not receiving mail with aid while in a distressed condition. Okay, I don't fully understand that one, but it kind of sounds like if you were injured and you weren't getting your mail. It's just what it sounds like to me. Leaning position was not reset after moving and pressing the lean key again if the lean key was set to press. Interesting. That's a really specific one. Glad that, you know, for the players that use that, that's getting sorted. Weapon loading through the chamber while leveling the mag drill skill slower than its supposed value. You know, anything that speeds up our skills, that's going to be good. You know, a lot of that stuff was actually bugged in previous wipes as well, or previous patches, I should say. And, you know, we're getting way better with getting those skills actually usable and, you know, actually get some progression to them. Hideout areas can remain inaccessible, at the end of a build timer unless the game was restarted. That one happened to me a ton of times, especially with Moonshine and the water filters and stuff. That one happened a lot to me. Players could freeze on the stationary weapon after using gestures or quick releasing their backpack. I think that happened to me once, and I didn't do it again. Chamber cartridge would get pulled out of the chamber if the players used the top up on this type of cartridge in the stash. Okay. The memory skill still, oh man, I'm losing it right on the tail end. The memory skill would not grow by 5% from the current level when the player levels another skill by 1 level. Wow. How many times they say level in here? 1, 2, and 3. Whew. Tagilla would go through the Sinister Collision and get stuck inside it. Okay. Don't know about that. The breathing sounds would not play when loading into a raid with Tagilla's armor and mask, I assuming. Oh, so he has 2 different masks? I didn't know that. But there you go. Shows how many times I've killed Tagilla. 0. Different reasoning behind that. We'll get into it here in the next gameplay video coming out soon. Cultist Knife poison amount would not get counted correctly. People still using those, man? That, to me, the Cultist Knife, bro, I feel like that was such a hyped up thing, and it just is not usable. I mean, on factory, maybe, but it's like, if it stayed in your sheath, I'd be all for it. But you losing it every raid, it's just kind of like, there's nothing you can do, man. Flashlight light would go through obstacles. Big change right there, man. That one's good. That is a huge change. This happens a lot on dorms, on interchange, on really any map with any kind of building that has more than 1 level to it. I mean, this one was huge. I'm all for that change. That is a big fix right there. If the player spammed the compass key while dropping a backpack, the compass would not appear in the hand, but the azimuth would appear in the HUD. Okay. Players could move without animation if they quickly pressed the movement keys. So is that like gonna prevent peeking or peekers advantage? What is that gonna do? That just sounds like, you know, if you're spam strafing, you weren't moving, if that's what I'm getting. Like, is that gonna eliminate shouldering corners? And that's gonna be an interesting one. Truck windows were visible through the fog on the customs location and fixed various issues causing the Air 500. So that's our patch notes, man. This one ran a little bit long. If you sat through all 12 minutes, you're an absolute GOAT. I really do appreciate every single one of you watching to the end. But I'd say it's a patch that is going to do wonders for some quality of life, getting some of those bugs fixed, and just making the game smoother, man. You know, unfortunately, we don't see any additions when it comes to any content here. Sometimes they sneak a couple things in there, which is always cool. A couple little Easter eggs, but other than that, I don't really see any items added here, which is okay because we should be getting Unity in the next patch in 12.11.6, and then 12.12 should be Lighthouse. So, you know, within the next 2-3 months here, we're going to get a new map. We're going to get a ton of new content. So just hold out a little bit longer. If some of you guys are just now coming back to Tarkov, you know, because we got the loot buff and all that other good stuff, just enjoy the game, man. Don't worry about no content right now. Just hop back into raid, get some good PvP in, loot some stuff, make some money, have a good time. I think, you know, this is just a step in the right direction with any bug fix update. And I'm happy about all the things I read here. Nothing really, you know, got under my skin. I didn't think anything here was negative. I think everything was a change for the better and one step in the right direction. That's going to be it today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, you learned anything, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Sponsors and equipment description below. It's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. I'm out.